Hey everybody, welcome to Trayer Wilderness. I hope you guys are doing good today. It is insane here. I am off the charts today. It is insane. I'm going to share lots with you. Let me just share this with those that are watching on Facebook. For those of you that are new to Trayer Wilderness, my family and I embarked on an off-grid journey back in 2010, a decade ago, and we enjoy sharing our knowledge and our journey with you as well as our faith. So if you are new, be sure to share with us where you are from, and also I would love to know how it is in your neck of the woods and what you see going on in your neck of the woods. So share that with me. All right. Facebook has been updated, and I see there's some people on here and some comments. I'm so thankful. I had a conversation with someone yesterday, and she continued it on after I had gone to bed last night, and I woke up to her message, and I have to steal her line because this is exactly how I feel, and I just think this is so funny. Her grandfather used to say that she was all over the place and was equivalent to a fart in a hailstorm. And yes, I'm a Christian and I said fart, but this is really funny. That is exactly what I feel like today. I'm on 2 hours of sleep because I woke at 11:40 and could not fall back to sleep. So God was dumping in my head and lining things up for today. I've got so much on my plate, but I'm here. So I am going to be like a fart in a hailstorm today. I know it. I feel it. Austin and I went for a walk, and it was not very coherent. So I'm going to do my best. But let me see here. Good morning, Miss Tammy. Good morning, Miss Shelley. Shelley says, found some of last year's raspberries in my freezer in the process of canning pie filling for them. Oh, yummy. Very yummy. I love raspberries. And I love pie. I've been picking mine for just over a week and have many more weeks to go. I can any berries that are left over from the year before. Awesome, so smart. Tammy says, we tried to start some raspberries, didn't work. Brandon had gotten them at work. I am fortunate that right next to our house there is a huge raspberry bush. So I'm hoping that I can get it to take off. I've planted my comfrey right around it, horseradish, and spearmint tea. So I'm really hoping the comfrey, because that's very nutrient to the soil. I am hoping that that will help get my raspberry bush really blooming. So that'd be so awesome. It's right next to the house, and a little spot that I'm going to make a flower bed. Miss Shelley says, I have mine in our backyard where they only get morning and evening sun and are protected during the heat of the day. Once you have them started, years of food. That's so awesome. And I was blessed last year and the year before to pick raspberries from a dear friend in town, and her bushes are just insane. I've never seen raspberries like that, so it's so awesome. Good morning, Miss Christina. Shelley says, I was up an hour at midnight also. Rough night for me. Yeah, I just am like toast. Of course, the alarm goes off and then you fall asleep. It's like, I don't know why that is. Drives me crazy. And good morning, Miss Deb. She says, good morning, Tammy and friends from Deb here in Okanagan Valley, Washington. So glad to have you guys joining this morning. So we've got a lot going on. I'm going to spin this. You can now see, I think, that I have a deck, a full deck on the back porch, which is awesome. I've been enjoying that as a comfort spot. The man created that deck as a temporary structure so that I could do my wash from the back of the house, and wanted to build a full-length porch. So he just didn't feel the need, or just felt it was a waste of time to put the railing up and that when we're gonna redo things, which I totally get. It wasn't necessarily the safest, but we were all cautious when we were out there. But it's now really nice, complete, looks nice, feels nice. We've been enjoying that. Yes, I know. And what really excites me about that is it gives me that feeling of what it's going to be like at my new place, because we will have a porch downstairs off of the front of the house and then upstairs above it. So I am like totally stoked about those Sweet spots, my favorite spots. So Deb says, my raspberries are overrunning me. 12 by 30 foot bed. Wow, awesome. Excuse me, and thank you on the deck, Deb. Yes, Deb, so are mine. I'm going to have to cut off some of the new shoots to try to contain them somewhat. And you guys could sell those shoots, by the way, because there are other people that are very anxious to be able to put those on their property, and now of all times would be a good one. So consider that moneymaker, you know, just, hey, every penny counts. And what I'm going to share with you today, you can use it, trust me. So what's it like in your neck of the woods? I know that Tammy mentioned to me yesterday that their county is back down to 50 people gathering at a time. Lots of new outbreaks of the coronavirus. So it's going to get interesting. We're still waiting to see what's going to happen with the Mountain Boy. I am so stoked. Tomorrow we are going on a road trip. He and I are going on his tour up there at the facility, and also a tour of his house. So really exciting. And we're going to do a lot of traveling around to see what's available to him, and also just get him acclimated. So super stoked. We love our road trips. But with everything going on, you know, the schools especially are still not sure what to do. So I don't know if he will be Zooming from here, or if he will be on site yet for sure or not. We're just going to have to see how that goes. But I want to talk about some things today. You know, I'm not a doom and gloomer, but I'm going to share some stuff with you. Deb said, I have sold $300 to $400 the last few years of raspberry starts. That is fabulous. See, having such things available, and when they take over like that, you know, Miss Tammy, you could do the same thing with your horseradish, especially now. You know, in years past, it's been harder to sell things. You have certain people that are delving in and wanting to do things. But now I think that that is the mindset. So definitely give that a try in your local area to see what you can come up with, because these are my thoughts. And I want to share something with you. Back in November, the mountain man was doing his devotions, and he came down to me and he said, you know, I don't know how to put this into words or to explain how I feel, but something really bad is coming. And he said that for some reason, the word salt keeps coming to mind. Now, for those of you that homestead and maybe live off the grid, live traditionally, salt is one of those extremely important things that you want to be prepared with and have on hand. It is great for preserving things. It is great for fermenting things. It is great for preserving your meat. And it's an essential. And, you know, at that point, he was telling us that, you know, God was telling us that we needed to be prepared. And sure enough, you know, here we are, 2020, walking out some extremely weird circumstances. Well, a pastor, I want to say he's in Kentucky, did a video. Miss Shelley shared it with me. And it inspired me to share it with you guys. The link for the video is down below, and it is prefaced with the words, brace yourself. And I want to share with you guys that I truly believe that God does express himself to us. He gives us intuitive thoughts. He gives us premonitions. He guides us to certain materials to get us to focus on certain subjects. He leads us, he shows us, he guides us. I mean, he was extremely present in my sickness. He diagnosed me, he led me to the doctor, and he provided for all of my needs, and also gave me the reassurance that I was not going to die before my surgery. All of which were very clear, very visible, and quite the blessing. So, you know, walking close to God is an amazing thing, not only because of the comfort it gives you, but the direction, if we're willing to accept it and focus on it and be that in tune. But I encourage you, like last week, to watch the video after this. It's not long, and it's very worth the watch. And he's referring to some dreams he had, one of which was in December that had pretty much called out in detail everything that is happening now. So, you know, he's not a pastor that is very outspoken or pompous. This is not his kind of thing. But because of the second dream, he felt the need to share the information. And like he says, we can take it, take it with a grain of salt, But the point is, and the reason I'm saying this, is that we do need to brace ourselves. We need to brace ourselves in him and in being prepared, because we don't know what's ahead. We don't know what we can believe and can't believe in our society, but we do know that God is a solid. He is a truth. He is a provider, and it is essential that we do our part. Many of us are in situations where we can only do, a little bit right now. With us building, we can't put a garden in. There's just no way. I'm already moving at a faster pace than I have ever moved in my life. Hence why I'm not coherent most of the time. But I'm getting it done, and I'm keeping it together, and I'm strengthening, and I'm moving forward. I'm faithfully moving forward. But a garden is not something that we can even remotely attempt to do right now. We are going to do potatoes this week. The Mountain Boy and I are going to plant some potatoes. Our greenhouse is going to be the first thing we do once we are settled in our house. But even when we're limited, if we do our part and do what we can, God will provide the rest. I guarantee you that. I've witnessed that for 4 years straight. And even when I was a single mom and I wasn't as in tune with my faith as I am now, I was very faithful, but man, my relationship with Papa is just intense right now. But he always provided. He always provided. And I want to encourage you guys to brace yourself, to be prepared. I've talked about this over the last couple weeks and expressed in the beginning of this the things you should be stocking up on. But we need to do the same now. We are going into uncertain times. And the chaos and the destruction that has gone on for the last 4 weeks in our country is just saddening and disturbing. When you look at the graffiti on the state buildings and the monuments and statues that have been destroyed and the mentality of our nation, if things progress to a nastier scene than what we are already experiencing, we are going to need to provide for ourselves, and we are going to need to hold our own. So start stocking up where you can. We've got quite the list. Right now, we are slowly getting that list attacked, but we don't have anywhere to go with it. A big praise. I have a container coming next week. 1. I have 2 that we need, but I am getting 1 delivered next week, and I am praising God greatly for that, because that, my friends, will get rid of this. See that mess? I have got those all over my house, and we got to get our stuff out of here. We can't do what we need to do here until all of our stuff is moved. So getting that container in, get in there, paint it with Kills, get it ready, let the paint dry, and Mountain Man can do what he's got to do. I'm going to start moving and get this stuff out of here so that we have room to work, room to move, and that will just be a huge comfort knowing we can get that in. And then the second one will shortly follow afterwards, which will be the Mountain Man's shop. So God is good. We ordered our materials this week also, which was such a good comfort, great comfort to me. We have a limited budget, which I am staying within, which is huge. And the materials are ordered and will be delivered on the 20th. So we will be starting to get things going up there. We were hoping for July, but it's just not going to happen. Not that we will start building. We've got things going up there. We are getting things, continuously doing things, but the actual building itself is going to take place beginning of August sometime, maybe sooner, Lord willing. So we shall see. And God is just moving us along in his timing. So very grateful, very thankful for that. But we need to keep stocking up, guys. We need to pay attention to things, and we need to be cautious. Just continue to be cautious in everything that's going on around you. I don't know if you guys were commenting. Tammy said, did she miss anything huge? I don't think so. Shelly says, wow, I am hoping to transplant some at my son's. That way I may have access still. There you go. She was referring to her raspberries. How far is your new home build from where you are now? It's about quarter mile, maybe, to the other property. So not far, thankfully. So moving won't be excessive. And it'll be a lot easier than having to move 2,500 miles. So the nice thing is I can load up, like the first thing is going to be emptying the shed, because that's the least used things. They're periodic things, but still needed. So getting that loaded up, I can load a truck at a time and just go up, put everything where I need it to be, organize everything very well so we know where to find things and just get it out of here. So super exciting, super excited too. But it's just insanely crazy. Yeah, it's very close. It's been nice being back here by ourselves all this time, but we're also very thankful that the new homeowner here is one of our people. So it'll be good. And we are far enough away that we're still secluded, and it is nice. I'm excited. Our dream is still to hit Alaska at some point in our lives, and we may actually have our own personal bush pilot. Yes, I'm excited about that too. So those were some of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about. Is don't lose momentum here. Keep your momentum going. Keep thinking on the lines of being prepared and stocking up. Think about the things that you need that you can't produce on your own, that you cannot forage or harvest from anywhere on your own. Stocking up on seeds for planting is extremely huge. And also knowing how to save your seeds so that when you are growing things that you can continue to keep your garden going for years and years based on your knowledge and the heirloom seeds that you have. But stocking up on the things that you can't reproduce. You know, I don't have salt here that I can reproduce. I could barter for salt, but I would much rather have the salt on hand that I have that comfort of being able to contain myself for a fairly good period of time. So those are my recommendations to you, and to continue to do what you can in that regard. And just look at the uncertainties of what is ahead. The pastor gave some great examples. You know, if we have an economic collapse, our money will be worthless. So he was suggesting purchasing silver and gold. That's pretty much a no-brainer, as well as, and he did suggest stocking up on guns and ammo, which we talked about last week. And that is important. You know, I mean, there's been a rush on things. Some things aren't available. Finding guns is getting harder. Finding ammo in certain places is harder, but when you can find it, get it. And stocking up on these things is important. One of the things that I started grabbing back in March was canning lids. And I have tons of canning jars, but canning lids. And the other thing is being able to dehydrate and freeze dry is going to give you a lesser footprint for your food. It won't take up as much room. It won't be as heavy. So storage and even carrying it to locations can be a lot easier. So just, we've talked about these things, but keep them in the front. Don't lose sight of this stuff, and don't get comfortable. Keep being diligent in your efforts, and keep working towards your levels of preparedness that you're comfortable with, and stocking up on the things that you can't reproduce. If you can get a lot of wild game, meat wouldn't be something I would be stocking up on right now. Right now, I'd be stocking up on the things that I don't have access to and I wouldn't have access to moving forward. So keep that in mind. Water. It's going to be important that we are able to filter our water and be able to sanitize ourselves. Those are the kinds of things you got to think about. I make soap, so I have things on hand to make more soap, not necessarily the soap itself. Same applies to the water sterilization. You know, you can boil your water. You know, there's also the Berkey filters, and you can go to traegerwilderness.com/Berkey. It's Berkey, and there's a discount available to our audience there. They were running low on their equipment and products previously. I haven't checked recently, but you can also purchase their filtration units and make your own. And something else I want to mention to you guys, these are awesome. These are copper H2o bottles. These enable your water inside to be antiviral, antibacterial, and it's really healthy for you. And you can find these by going to traegerwilderness.com/copper H2o. It's not something you want to drink out of all day long because you can overdo copper in your system. But what you do is you wake up in the morning, and at night you fill this. In the morning you wake up after 8 hours and you drink 8 to 16 ounces of this water on an empty stomach, and it will help you greatly. This is nothing new. This is an old time vice. But I'm excited to have these. With everything that's going on, the more antiviral we can be, the better. Pay attention to your surroundings, by the way, also. Some of the counties and some of the states are doing some pretty hefty fines if you're not wearing a mask. One of our local towns, it's a college town, so when it had an outbreak, it wasn't, I didn't know about it. My friend told me about it because his son was traveling down there and he just happened to hear about it. But $1,000 fine for not wearing a mask. And that's a 24/7 thing that they've got to be wearing them wherever they are. So make sure you're paying attention to that. The stuff that's going on right now, the stuff that's being enforced, the things that are going into place are insane. And like I said, we need to be diligent on that stuff. Let me see here. Okay. Miss Shelley says. Okay, Deb says, having privacy and good neighbors is a blessing. Location, location, location. Yes. Our greatest desire is to be 100 miles back in Alaska in the middle of nowhere to experience the life of trapping back there in that environment. That is our dream. This will be our home base, but we're hoping that in the next couple years we will have that opportunity. Shelley says, I've been trying to put extra stuff up with all my allergies when there is limited stuff in the stores. I have fewer choices of foods without stuff I'm allergic to. Yeah, you know, and that is key. That is so, so key. Are you able to do oat flour? I can't remember. Because I stocked up on oat flour and oats because for the gluten-free aspect of things, that's a really easy one to work with. And I use chia seeds rather than xanthan gum to kind of hold that together. And I love making sourdough oat flour pancakes. But yes, that is the key thing. You know, I was talking about things that aren't available and accessible to us, but when you have allergies like that, and for Shelley and I, it's pretty much everything we eat we have to be cautious of. So if you are not thinking ahead on that, you're gonna be so, so limited. And this stuff will not be accessible later. I mean, if things keep going the way they are, Lord only knows. And like I said, I'm not doom and gloom, but I want you guys to think out of the box and be prepared and think ahead. Let's see here. Deb says, I made my first gun contact and working on making that happen last week and this week. Thanks for encouragement. Awesome. I'm so glad to hear it, and you betcha. Shelly says, yes, I can do oats. I'm stocking up on oatmeal and can make flour out of it. Yep, exactly. That's what I've been doing too. We got to think ahead, guys. And we got to keep thinking. Because the thing is, as things keep shifting, you know, you get comfortable. And when you hit a point where you don't want to be watching what's going on Facebook or following the news, it's really important that we stay intact somehow. Find the right sources. We've talked about that too. Find sources that you feel are valid and just stay in the loop so you know what's going on. But it is up to us to keep our eyes on God and to keep moving faithfully forward and doing our part. I cannot express that enough. Deb says, great idea using chia seeds for binding. Sourdough fruit pancakes are my go-to with various flours. Yes, mine too. I absolutely love those. And I love the dried cranberries with infused blueberry. Those are really good to have on hand too. But yes, I am, and really grainy breads. But yes, chia seeds are amazing for so many different things. I love chia seeds in a lot of things, but I hate using xanthan gum if I don't have to. And chia seeds are light. They're actually something I carry in my day pack as well. But, and so you know, a tablespoon of chia seeds can actually sustain you for 24 hours just because of the nutrients and that. So, I mean, your stomach may growl, but it will sustain you. So it's easy to carry and something to have on hand. But, you know, I was really proud of the mountain boy this week because he was doing a lot of research on varying things, and I thought it was just for leisurely things. But he was looking at fishing rods. And he will have an opportunity to go on a weekend retreat by a lake. So I just assumed that's why he was looking, but that wasn't the only reason he was looking. And that wasn't the only thing he was looking at either. And I'm really proud of him, and I'm gonna share this with you. He was looking at a bike. The bike he has is older and not in the best of shape. And he was looking at a bike that has a basket in the front that had a toolkit on it and a tire repair kit on it, an area to hold his water, and it had a rack over the back tire. Now, one of the add-ons for it is saddlebags for this bike. And what he's thinking is, it's a mountain bike, you know, that it would enable him to go out with his new friends and hit the trails and do some stuff fun. It would enable him to ride to school. He's only a half a mile. And maybe to the grocery store, depending on what it's like up there. But it also would enable him, if everything fell apart and his vehicle was unable to get him out of town, that he could start riding. And he was looking at tents and different things that he didn't have personally. I mean, we have stuff, but he didn't have those things personally. So I was really proud of how his mind was working. You know, he's thoroughly excited about his new adventure, but it made me realize that he's been listening. And, you know, we talk to our kids and you wonder sometimes if they really are hearing, because a perfect example, we were walking today and I shared all this stuff with him. And as soon as I was done, he asked me a totally unrelated question and went off on a bunny trail about something. And I'm like, did you hear me? And then he repeated what I had said. So, you know, you don't think they're listening and you don't think they really care about certain things, you know, because when he was younger and we were teaching him stuff, you know, like how to light different fires and do such things in the outdoors, building a shelter, you know, typical kid, you know, when they're made to do stuff like that, it's not as exciting as when they just venture off and do it on their own. So, you know, he always seemed bothered by it. And that wasn't the case. So, you know, do realize that what you are sharing with your kids and what you are saying to your kids is being heard and they are learning. And make sure that you do those things with your children and educate them. You know, it irks me greatly that our butchering video, our chicken butchering video on YouTube was actually flagged as adult only. because of the killing of the chickens. And, you know, we did a very good job of not making it gory. But kids need to know these skills. You know, if you're ever out hiking and they get separated on the trail and you guys are in the wilderness and they're on their own, if you don't educate them on fires and shelters and keeping warm and knowing how to find food, you know, it's not going to be a pretty situation. And, you know, having that comfort of knowing that your children are well versed and are able to contend for themselves is a really good feeling. And I will say that I'm really grateful that he's only 2 hours away versus this is funny. It's an hour and 57 minutes, mind you, because he corrected me when I said it was 2 hours away instead of being 6. So I'm very happy about that. So what are your thoughts on what I've shared so far? You know, are you feeling the same way, that there's still more to come, or are you anticipating something different? But right now we feel pretty sure that it's going to get uglier before it gets better. But that doesn't mean that we won't thrive. You know, when we are thinking out of the box, when we're being prepared, and when we're trusting God and putting God first especially, I think we're in the right spot. And I think that God will surely take really good care of us. Okay, so that video is down below from the pastor. I want to encourage you guys to check it out. Okay, so Shelly says, yes, I can do, I read that one already. She said, there's way more to come. Yeah, exactly. I agree. I really, really agree. You know, like I said, I don't like to be the doom and gloomer, because we've always focused on, you know, faith-led preparedness instead of the zombie apocalypse. But there comes a time when you've got to be honest and have your eyes open and understand that this is where we're at. And, you know, you can candy coat it all you want, and you can put your pink shadies on, but you're not going to help yourself if you're denying the fact that the potential is there. Deb says, best way to raise a family, living real life situations right down to the blood and guts of survival. Yep, exactly. Exactly. And you know, that's what we've taught the world, but our most important teach was our son. And like I said, I think it was last week when I was sharing it, you know, he's been out hunting with me since he's 7. I taught him to fish early. I mean, it was stuff I enjoyed doing. And, you know, through the enjoyment of it, he learned to enjoy it too. And, you know, the more you do things, and the more, honestly, guys, how we react to situations and to things is how our children are going to. Truthfully, I know several friends, one that is deathly afraid of birds. So if she's walking in a park and a bird flies over, she will freak out and run. Where does she get that from? Her mom. I have other friends that have similar issues. And if you're always fearful of things, your children are going to be fearful of things as well. So how we approach things should be thought about, and realize that we have eyes on us. And that was one of the biggest things that I did with Austin, was that I shared my enthusiasm. Yeah, that didn't come out right, but enthusiasm with him on the things I enjoyed doing. And I made even some of the most daunting experiences fun, so that he would learn from it and enjoy it. And that's what we got to focus on and do. Gardening was a perfect example, but I was grateful that he took on to that the same way I did. I just loved being in the garden with my grandparents. It was just such an amazing experience. I think of them all the time because of that. And it's just a really good, important part of my life. And I know that he has those memories now too. But he enjoyed being out there. He enjoyed the process. So that's what makes it fun. Shelly says, I have been feeling like so many changes are going to happen. This COVID thing is not over, and this new normal is way different. Yeah, and I mean, just the things that have been allowed to happen in our country. Like you said, the new normals, they're stinking messed up. They're just messed up. And the mentality of so many and the continuing on of these riots and different things is just alarming. And like I said, the fact that they were allowed to continue, I can't help but picture Mad Max at times, you know, with some of the stuff that's been going on. Because when you let stuff like that go, it just escalates. What was I watching? Oh, I know what it was. It was the sermon on Sunday that we watched at WFR Church. He was talking about how it's not always a good thing to be a part of a group or making a decision with a group mentality, that it's important that we remember to make decisions for ourselves, because when we are in a group, we are more apt to take the mindset of the group than we are to take our own mindset. And they gave biblical references to that. And, you know, it's very true. There's a lot of people that are leaders, and then there's a lot of people in this world that are bandwagon jumpers. And we've got to learn to make decisions for ourselves and not be, you know, quick to join in with the rest of the world. You know, I've been really proud of our audience because we all stand firm in what we believe. We see things for what they are. And many of us are very intuitive. You know, like I said earlier, God will send us things. Sometimes the things that come to us aren't always the most pleasant, especially in situations like this. You know, when you're getting the feeling that more things are coming and that it could be more gruesome or it could be more this or that, you know, it's a good warning though. It's a good warning, and it's good to keep ourselves in check and intact. Deb says, I always said I would never want to raise a prissy girl. Everyone said, Deb, your kids will be capable and secure because of how you approach life. I'm honored to be pleased with my 17-year-old son. Yeah, and I agree with that. I so agree with that. And I have thoroughly enjoyed raising my kids in this way. And like I said, it's nice when you can look and see that the fruits of your labor. So it's not always the easiest job, but when we are diligent and keep pushing on and continue to do our part, even when they're being the typical teenagers or whatever the case may be, you will see and reap the rewards. So don't give up. I want to read something to you guys here. I think this kind of correlates with what we're talking about. Reason for hope. I will make the valley of Achor a door of hope. That is Hosea 2:15. Biblical references to valleys generally symbolize a state of hopelessness. The valley of Achor, or judgment, got its name when Achan's family was stoned to death and Israel's armies were defeated. Feeling hopeless is part of the human condition, and many of history's most notable heroes experienced it. William Penn said, "There is scarcely anything around us but ruin and despair." And Lord Shaftesbury announced, "Nothing can save the British Empire from shipwreck." Benjamin Disraeli declared, "In industry, commerce, and agriculture, there is no hope." And Lord Grey lamented, "The lamps are going out all over Europe. We shall not see the light again in our lifetime." So there are naysayers and prophets of doom everywhere. And if you buy what they're selling, you'll end up convinced there's no hope for your situation. Nothing could be further from the truth. Paul said, "Let us hold fast the confession of our hope." he who promised is faithful. That's Hebrews 10:23, and those are some pretty powerful words. God can transform your valley of Achor into a door of hope. It's the same promise he made to his people even after they turned their backs on him. He said in Isaiah 65:10, "The Achor Valley will be a resting place for my people who search for me." As Henry Blackaby observes, optimists don't ignore the difficulties, but the knowledge of God's presence prevents them from becoming discouraged. I'm going to read that again. Optimists don't ignore the difficulties, but the knowledge of God's presence prevents them from becoming discouraged. Very much so. Very, very much so. We all know what it's like to walk through those difficulties, but we've got such great hope that the non-believers don't have, and we need to keep praying for all of those non-believers. It also says it's impossible to stand in his presence and be a pessimist. I totally agree. How many of you 100% agree with that? If we focus on our problems, they'll seem gigantic. But as we focus on God, we see our situation in perspective and are assured that all things are possible. Feeling hopeless is part of the human condition. So with all that I've said today, even though we're sharing the negativity of our current situation, the one thing that we're not sharing is the lack of hope. We have so much hope in what God does in us, in our world, and although we may not be seeing immediate results here, He's working. He's working a million things in the background. His timing, he's lining it all up, and we've just got to do our part and continue to walk faithfully forward. So I just want to remind you today to not grow weary and realize that God is our rock, that he will pull us through this, and just don't become complacent. Now is not the time to become complacent. We need to keep focusing forward on our needs. If you have run out of funds and you can't, and there's nothing more you can do, you need to fully trust that he will provide, because he will. When your trust is in him, he will provide for you. You know, you've done your part, you've done what you can. You've also got to think in abundance, guys. I want to share that, and I can't share that enough. You know, when you think out of a place of less, you know, right now, our budget was very limited on our building. But I keep thanking him for the abundance and for him providing and for him taking care of this and taking care of that before it's already been done. I'm thanking him way ahead of time. And you know what, guys? It has been amazing what has been showing up for us and what has been ending up in our laps. And it's not a coincidence. It's because of my prayers, and I know that. And God is amazing, and he does completely provide for our needs. But we've got to meet him there, and we've got to trust that he's going to do that. Totally got to trust him. And that's what we got to do now, is just completely trust as we move forward, do our part, and just keep paying attention and trusting him, seeking him, and making that a part of our daily routine. I want to share something else with you. When I said about the funding, it made me think of it. I've gotten many emails and messages since I've shared things about Austin. I've got his website so close. I'm so excited to get it out there. There's been a lot of thoughts that had to go into this because of the vastness and the reach that this website may ultimately have. And I've got to prepare for everything before it happens, rather than having to try to mend the wheel moving forward. So been a lot of thought going into it, but I've got it very close. I'm hoping by Friday. Today is another full day after this with my head in the computer. But many have reached out and asked if there are ways to support Austin. And I did create a fundraising page with different attire and miscellaneous items like mugs and different things. And we will have other clothing items coming down the line as well. We've been working on designing a whole bunch of different really cool things. So there will be more on that. And you know, I don't recall the link that I made for that, so I'm gonna try to find that while I'm talking to you. But Austin is on Zelle, and you can use his email donations@biggerthanautism.com. And you can also use that on PayPal. And for snail mail, you can reach him by sending to P.O. Box 10 in St. Mary's, Idaho, and it's 83861. I will include that stuff down below. I did not, but I will. And let me see if I can real quick share with you his t-shirts too. There'll be another site that we'll be putting into place for that as well. But let me see here. I'm like working so far ahead. I don't even know where I'm at. It's really funny. Like I'm already working into September and we're what, in July? It's really crazy. But anyway, I will put that link down below. I don't know. I have it written down over at my work spot, so I don't have that in front of me. I can check one other spot. Bear with me here. But I thank you guys for inquiring and asking, and don't feel obligated. I just wanted to share that because so many have been asking, and he has definitely got some crazy things ahead, but it's really, really awesome to see how God is working it all out and providing in great ways. Okay, where's my link? Here we go. Okay, so for the shirts, okay, I do not have it. I'll have to provide that for you then. The other thing though that you can do if you are interested is sign up for his like right now we're going to be doing quarterly newsletters. He's going to be doing them from school and updating people on what's been going on. They might be more frequent. We just aren't sure what kind of timing and time frame he's going to have, but he's excited to be recording some things and getting a lot of photos. We will do that tomorrow, as well as on the 31st when he goes up there to start school. But you can go to biggerthanautism.com/Moody Aviation Updates. I will also include that down below. But that is how you can sign up for his newsletter. I encourage you to do that so that you can hear what's going on from the horse's mouth. This is going to be his baby. And one of the things he's going to be learning in this year's classes is college writing. And I've actually been reading one of his books, and I am just so excited. It's really neat stuff. So I'm anxious to see what kind of a wordsmith he turns into. But anyway, those are all of my thoughts for today. And I've got so much to do, so I will probably not stay on here much longer, but I do see some other comments here. When we go out, we are always looking for apple trees and blackberries, etc., that are free for the taking. Oh, absolutely. You know what? I shared with you guys a couple years back when I was walking the lake, when I was healing. It used to be an old railroad bed, and from the railroad going and people throwing their cores out the windows, there were apple trees and raspberries and plums, all organic. Nothing's been tainted because the railroad track is now a walking and riding track, so it's just gone back to nature. And we were doing a lot of foraging there, but yes, gosh. And even, you know, there's a lot of people that have fruit trees and they are unable to pick them anymore. You know, a lot of the elderly people used to do all that stuff, but now their trees are just kind of, you know, feeding the animals. So if you see somebody that has like this tree that's just being wasted and it's, you know, a lot of it's on the ground, go talk to him, because maybe, you know, in exchange for picking a couple for them, you can have the abundance. And I just had apple butter bread before I got on here, and our apple butter is just amazing. It is Grandma Treyer's recipe. And, you know, to be able to make, you know, apple butter from trees that you were able to gather, or apples that you were able to gather for nothing, is tremendous. So very, very smart. And another place you can find stuff like that often is at parks, different parks. I just signed up for the Kindle Unlimited, and last night I downloaded all of Millie Copper's books. I'm excited to read them. Awesome. I am so glad you said that, because I want to encourage you guys to check out Millie's books. I have read them all, and I've just had the privilege of reading what will be coming out next. And guys, she just blows me away. Her books are so addicting. You know, I'm going to bed at night and I'm whooped, but I can't not read her book. And I just finished it, so now I've got to wait for the next one. But go to TrayerWilderness.com/Millie Copper, and you can also find her audiobook by going to TrayerWilderness.com/Millie Copper audio. And Shelly, thank you for that shout out, because that was on my mind to share today when I was walking until I got home. It was gone. But Millie's books are amazing in that her writing style is fabulous. But additionally, she's writing, it's basically a cozy apocalyptic. And she will definitely get you thinking on the lines of preparedness if that is something that is not natural for you. She will make you think out of the box. She will get you thinking further beyond your comfort zone, or things you may have not considered, even if you are preparing. She really gets the juices flowing. And I really think that Millie's books are an amazing book to start with for people that are new to preparedness, new to the thoughts of what we are walking out right now, you know, that you just always have felt that nothing like this could ever happen, where we've been walking out, you know, preparing for something like this in the event that it did happen. That we're wanting it to happen, but stuff happens. So I think it's really important to delve into Millie's books. And Shelly, you are absolutely going to love them. I'm glad you did that. I know you like your paper books, but I'm really glad that you were able to do that. Space Girl says, I missed the live chat, but I'm blessed to see your smiling face today. The outdoor toilet is working great. Awesome. And thank you for your kind words. I'm glad you have jumped on, and good to see you joining us too. Deb says, definitely praying for him. Looking forward to staying in touch with Austin. You are a good team. Enjoy your road trip and tour tomorrow. I'll be thinking of the two of you all day. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And Space Girl says, I asked a neighbor last year if I could pick up the apples off the ground. She told me to take them all. Take all I wanted. I made 3 dozen pints of applesauce and 2 dozen quarts of sweetened apples. Such a great feeling. Absolutely, absolutely. And you know what? They are just so grateful that you're taking them, that they're not going to waste. I have to imagine that. So that's fabulous. And you know what, guys? I'll share this in a second. Shelly says, I'm hoping that the books will help me find spots that I am not prepared. If there's anything that you're not thinking of, she will definitely get you in the right direction, because she covers it all. She really does. It's really awesome stuff. In regard to Space Girls saying what she did, you know, one thing we've got to learn to do is ask. When I purchased my first home, it was an old brick Victorian. It was an amazing house, and it was completely riddled with antiques. And I asked for one thing that it was like a old potato chip can. My mom liked old cans. So I had gotten it to give to my mom. Well, at settlement and at closing, I said to the guy, I said, those antiques in that house were just incredibly amazing. He's like, I wish you would have said something. He said, I would have left them all behind. That would have given me less work. And I just dropped my mouth open. And from that day on, I learned to ask. Because the worst thing somebody's going to tell you is no. And I ask all the time now. That house had antiques in every room. And if there were things I didn't want, they were all in mint condition, and they would have been things that I could have sold and made a fortune on. I mean, he had up in the attic, there were the old plaster picture frames that were ornate. And there was like probably between 20 and 50 of them up there. And they were in perfect shape. Those things went for a lot of money. So anyway, It's my loss, but it's my gain in learning from that experience, and you have to ask. So when you feel like you're being nudged to ask something, but it's out of your comfort zone to do it, you're not listening to the Holy Spirit, because that nudge has a purpose. Follow those nudges, and you know what? If they say no, they say no. If they get snippy with you, they get snippy with you. You know what? If people get that way with me, I'm like, you know what? I learned early in life to ask, and I totally respect your answer, and I thank you for your consideration, and be done with it. You know what? It is what it is. But you asked. What if you ask and they say yes? Go ahead, take all you want. See what I'm saying? So you learn to ask in anything. Let me see here. Deb says, I'm going to check out Millie Copper books and info. Just up my alley. Oh, you will love them. You will absolutely love them. She is an amazing writer and an extremely dear friend. But she awes me. She is my hero with her books. I have always wanted to step into that type of writing. And she has greatly encouraged me. So I have started, but once I'm sitting up in my new home this winter, man, are my fingers going to start going, because I've got a lot of juices forming. And what's really cool is the books that Austin has for school are inspiring and showing me that I'm on the right track and giving me inspiration to improve what I'm already doing. So it's really awesome. As you know, I'm a seeker of knowledge, so when his books arrived, I had to look at them. I can't wait to read some of the others, because his learning is of the Bible this year, and the Bible, writing, and algebra are his main courses for this first term. I'm not sure what's in the second term. Shelley says, I've had situations where they just wanted a jar or two of jam made out of the stuff you pick for free. You know, it's funny, because I was going to say, when Space Girl shared that she had done the picking, you know, I've always gone back and offered or given, you know, like with the apple butter and stuff, our friend had given us apples. So I made sure he got, you know, 2 jars of the apple butter, you know, and it's just, it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling to be able to do that, but also not to see that go to waste and to be able to utilize it. And it is such a great feeling, not only to see it on your shelves, but to be able to pull it off in the winter months and thoroughly enjoy that sweet treat, you know. So it's very worth the time taken. I am looking really forward to getting that container up there and getting all of our stuff moved. I'm going to get all my canning jars out of my food room downstairs in my big pantry, get them up there so that I have all that room to go through and inventory my food. I want to encourage you guys to do that. Inventory what you have so that you have a full bearing on what you have, and figure out how you can improve what you've got. That's a great way to start moving forward with your preps and your preparations. And remember to think about the things that you cannot forage, harvest, and possibly barter. The things that are going to be the hardest for you to find are the things you need to stock up on now. Space Girl says, yes, picked a couple bags of apples and brought 2 jars of applesauce back. They sent a thank you note later. That's so awesome. That is so, so awesome. My goal is to dehydrate more stuff this year as it takes less space. That was Shelley, yes. And that girl there is on fire with her renovation. She has made herself some I just saw her say chocolate with a whole bunch of exclamation marks. Yes, ma'am. Mine is not just chocolate, it's chocolate chips, because you can melt those down. You can put those in snacks. I mean, we are like chocolate chip hogs. So that's one of our main staples, because I'm always making sweet treats. I forget what I was saying now. Oh, Shelley with her renovation, she's made herself an extremely nice pantry. And exactly what she said, you know, when you are able to preserve your food in varying ways that work for you. I have a lot of friends who do, like my friend from the apartment prepper shares how she preps in a very small location. So, you know, under her bed is all her canning stuff. And, you know, when you're able to dehydrate things, you enable yourself to take up less space, maybe to preserve more. And another thing that comes to mind is we watched The Last Alaskans, and Ashley and I can't think of her husband's name. But they are one of the families, and she does a big garden in the summertime back in Fairbanks, Alaska, and then dehydrates everything to bring out to the bush. And she has a huge duffel bag that she fills with all of her dehydrated foods, and expressed how many hundreds of pounds of food it was. You know, it's really amazing what you can do. And if you need to, for some reason, get up and go, dehydrated foods are something you can take with you. I see all kinds of chocolate notations. This is funny. I need to buy bulk canning lids. Yes, that is a plus. And Deb says dark chocolate daily here, a must. Yes, exactly. I have started liking white chocolate. White chocolate was something I hated as a kid. I think because it was always so waxy. But the good organic stuff is really, really awesome, and it melts in your mouth. And I am so into that. I've been getting, I can't think of the name of the company now, but our road trips, one of my road trip snacks, if we can find a health food store, is getting a white chocolate peanut butter cup. Gotta have the sweet treat when you're on the road. That and a kombucha, they don't exactly go well together. I try to do it that I eat the chocolate first and then drink the kombucha a little bit later. But anyway, road trip fun. Somebody said something too, the canning lids. I knew I was triggered by something. One of the things I want to remind you of is the Tatler lids. Now, they have become harder to get your hands on, but the Tatler canning lids are something that you can can over and over again with. And I think if you go to TrayerWilderness.com/Tatler lids, you will find them. If not, let me know. I'll put a link down below. But they have the rubber grommet and then the plastic top. And they are something that we should be stocking up on a lot, because the ball canning or any of those other canning flats, the lids, are not meant to be used multiple times. And they are not made the way they were back in the day when they first came out, with the really thick rubber that could actually be used multiple times if they weren't bent when you took them off. But now it's so thin, there's just no way. And I want to give you guys a heads up. I did this our first year here, and I learned a huge lesson. I forget how many hundreds of pounds of carrots we canned, but I ended up throwing most of them away. I had my canning jars, and I bought the jars in the cases, and they have the flats and the lids already on them, right? I put them out in my shed till I was able to utilize them. Well, my shed was getting as hot as it was outside, if not hotter, and we had a really hot summer, so tops 120. They sealed on the jars, and I didn't realize it. And when I canned, they didn't seal properly. So I ended up having to throw a large portion of my carrots away. And you can test that stuff. You know, take your rings off and just make sure that there's a tight seal. But that particular year, I kept all my rings on my jars because I didn't need them for other purposes. After that, though, I take my rings off and I test every jar. Even though you can check the top, they didn't seal right. They weren't tight. So learn to take your rings off and just gently test your lids to make sure that they are secure, so that you don't end up with botulism or spoiled food. Because if you do catch them right away, you can recan them and reseal those, or use them right away if you don't have a ton of them that didn't seal. So just some tips for you guys. But I really appreciate you guys taking the time to join me. And thankfully, my brain was with me today. When I started, I did not know how this was going to go. Like I said earlier, I felt like a fart in a hailstorm. I'm stealing that line. That is just too funny to me. Or at least it's maybe in my tiredness that I'm finding that funny. But that was what someone shared with me this morning in a message. I was definitely all over the place this morning. And holding conversations have been quite the challenge. But the real true blessing here is that God is in control. God is leading the way. And everything, even though we are under so much pressure and under the gun, everything's getting done progressively, and it's been going really flawlessly. Knock on wood. as her dog was scratching over there and it was making a weird sound. I didn't know what that was. But just keep trudging forward. Keep your eyes on the prize. Keep your eyes on Papa. And do your due diligence. Keep planning ahead. And keep paying attention to what's going on around you. I'm going to say a prayer for us, okay? Papa, I just thank you for this amazing day, for these amazing people. Thank you for this time and inspiring me to do this. There was a time I wouldn't even have wanted to do live video, and I fought it for a long time, but I thank you for nudging me to step out of my comfort zone, because this is not only renewing to me, but it is forming an amazing community of God-driven individuals. And I'm just so thankful for that. And I am thankful for you keeping your hand on all of us, guiding us and directing us, providing us with intuitive information, and just helping us to plan ahead. I just ask that you be with everyone that's watching this and the replay, and just help them to feel your peace and comfort, to focus their eyes on you and make spending time with you a daily habit, and just help them to learn to prepare and continue to move faithfully forward. Please be with all those that are in need of prayer. Be with those on our prayer list, and just continue to help everyone in need. Those that come to mind are JC and Lori. Just help them as JC is healing, and be with Chad, be with Terry Perry as he's healing from his treatments of chemo and radiation, and be with he and June, and be with Jamie, and with Iris and Dave Canterbury, and just continue to be with Kelly and Mike and Courtney as Mike continues to heal, and just be with each and every one of us as we are walking out our days and experiencing oddities and uncertainty at times. Just strengthen us, strengthen our minds, and thank you for loving us, and thank you for what you're going to do for each and every one of us. We love you and ask this in your holy and precious name of Jesus. Amen. Okay, let me see here. All right. So guys, I wish you a fabulous rest of your day. I will see you next week. Next week, we're going to talk a little bit about some things that we can do health-wise to help ourselves in these situations. And be sure to check out all the links down below in the description. There's a lot of different references there. Millie's books are there. There's different movies and different things on canning and fermenting, and also on taking our own health into our own hands with creating balanced health. Deb says, this is my weekly blessing, hearing your voice, encouraging words, and valuable information. Well, thank you, sweet friend. And it is returned to me as well. Having you guys present and your kind words really do encourage me to know and to keep doing what I'm doing, and that I'm on the right track, and that I'm doing what I am called to do. Because like I said in that prayer, there's a time that I just never imagined I would ever do live video. It was hard enough doing regular video that I could edit, and you know, that was uncomfortable. But once I stepped out into the live video, this has really, it's just amazing. God can do amazing things in each of us. So I'm really thankful for you all, and thank you for the time, and I'm thankful for all your friendships as well. It's very renewing for me to do this as well. Thank you for your wishes for my travels tomorrow, and thank you, Michelle, also. And God bless you all. I will see you next week, and maybe even the Mountain Boy and I will jump on a little bit tomorrow. We'll have to see how things go and what kind of rush we're in, but I love you all. Keep your eyes on the prize. Don't get complacent. Keep faithfully working forward, and I will see you next week. God bless.